Welcome, everybody, to the Healing Place podcast. I'm your host, Teri Wellbrock, and yet again, smiling. Really looking forward to having Heather Eck join me today. And she is multimedia abstract artist and writer. And I'm so excited to learn from her. I told her right before we hit record that I can't draw a straight line with a ruler. My sister's an artist. My dad was an artist. I did not inherit that gene. So anyway, welcome, Heather.
Well, thank you for having me. It's so nice to connect with you.
Yes, for sure. So I know in reading through your bio and reading through some of the, the prompt questions and everything, I we've talked a lot on this show about connecting to energy and intuition and using those intuitive gifts. And I know that's a big part of what you do, right?
Yeah, it is. It's at the forefront, essentially, of the pieces that I make, for sure.
Wonderful. So can you talk to people about how you utilize that in your art?
hmm Yeah, I call myself an intuitive artist for a couple of different reasons. A lot of times, if somebody is a landscape painter or a representational painter, they will sort of sketch out their painting from the beginning. And intuitive painters don't do that. We sort of just start painting, and whatever comes to us and becomes the painting that you see when it's finished. But also, from that intuitive side, I also meditate and ask for guidance and receive messages while I'm painting that inform the direction of the piece and the title of the piece and really who it's for based on the colors that come through or the messages that come through for someone. So it's kind of like a dialogue that I'm having with God or spirit as I'm working, and then step back and go, oh, wow, that's what came through. So it's definitely like intuitive from beginning to end.
Wow, that's so beautiful. And I know one of the things that I had read was, you know, if someone like for me, the whole reason I started this podcast 7.5 years ago was I had stepped onto the healing path, but from trauma from my childhood. And so if people are in a process of going through and still in the early stages of healing from trauma, does sometimes that darkness or that struggle come through? And is that something you then convey in your work?
That's a great question. I think, in large part, I consider my pieces healing because they're meant to offer you a reminder of your radiant spirit and to let people know that they are not, number one, they're not alone. Number two, they don't have to stay in that place of darkness, that they can elevate up to a place of healing and balance and support. And a lot of times the work that I create is vibrant color with a lot of energy and movement and mark making. And I think that's meant to help elevate the spirit. If I'm doing like a spirit portrait for somebody where I'm actually painting their energy and their prescriptive color, those are often filled with messages and reminders about the fact that they are, unique, wonderful, radiant people, and that healing is possible no matter where they are. So my work tends to kind of move in the direction of those uplifting, vibrant colors. But I definitely, when I interact with somebody, will see sort of where they're in pain or where there's a burden or where they're feeling stuck, and then try to help move them out of there through artwork.
Oh my gosh, it's so beautiful. You saw me smiling big. I, and I'm going to come around to a question in a second
Yeah.
because I made degrees in psychology and I was working in a mental health agency when I lived in Ohio and working in the school systems. And I would meet with kiddos and we'd do yoga and we'd do art. We would do all kinds of different fun
Mhm.
stuff just to support these kids if they were experiencing bullying or maybe addiction in the home or whatever it could be. And I had this one little girl, fifth grader, um, who had been to me a number of times. Like it was pretty far into the school year, and I saw her weekly, and she said to me, and I'd never heard this before. I was early on my journey, right? And she said, "I love your energy." And I kind of turned and looked at her. I said, "Well, thank you. I love your energy too." And she said, "No, you have a white glow around you." And so I was like, "Oh my gosh," like it so took me by surprise. So as I learned more about auras and like the energy we represent, can auras shift and change as people are either in different environments or like maybe, different situations are going on in their life?
Absolutely. Yes. I love that story. Thank you for sharing that because I think as kids we have access to be able to see and sense in a much deeper way than we do as adults because we tend to kind of shut it down or forget or something. So I love that she said that to you. And I wonder, like, as myself as a kid, I think I lived in that same space of being able to see and interact with the mysteries of the universe, but didn't actually start to use it until my late 30s. So yeah, absolutely. Your energy can shift and change depending on what's happening in your world and what's going on, it just in a day-to-day basis. So I was just in France for an artist residency. I was there for 2 weeks and met with some of the most incredible people. And there was one girl whose energy I read for her at the beginning of the residency and then again at the end, and it had completely shifted for her. When we started out, she was in some grief. She had just learned about an accident someone in her family had been in. And then as the residency went on and I read her energy, it had shifted a lot. She was kind of moving out of that place. So it's interesting to see how that, just the things that are going on in your world affect your aura and your chakras and what colors I see for you there too.
Oh, I love that. Yes. And it is so true. Like I can see how our lights get dim. Like that's how I see it. It's almost like, and then yeah, and then getting brighter. Now you utilize your art then really like hope is such a big part of my theme, right? Like I
Yeah.
write a hope for healing newsletter and it's just like that hope is just the underlying current of all that I do. And it's what I'm hearing is that your art is that anchor, right? That's that hope that people can hang on to.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. I love that so much. I think you're right. I feel like it's all about the possibility and the potential to become the fullest versions of ourselves. And I think we get to express that when we do have faith and hope in ourselves that we can come out of something on the other end or look for the positive in something or to find ourselves in art, whether it's music, dance, baking, painting, but to be able to reconnect with this essence of ourselves, I think that does give us hope, and I think that anchors us in a place where we know that healing is possible. I think in all aspects, healing is possible. Um, so I love that so much.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. I've had, I've just been so blessed to do this show. Like amazing souls like yourself come on. And I was, this was a couple of years ago, speaking with someone, and their art was behind them, kind of like you know, for you, those of you watching the YouTube, the video, um, you can see Heather's artistry tools behind her. And I saw something behind her and I was so drawn to it. And it was the blues and the purples, right? And so I was just, and it was an angel, and angels are very much a part of my life. And so she gifted it to me. And so it's hanging right here on my wall, like next to
Oh,
me. And so to me, like, are people, do you find that people are like drawn to certain colors, or do you say, oh, I'm going to like channel this or feel this and put it out there and see if it's a match?
yeah, that's a great question. I think it's a little bit of both. I've had some people who will see a piece. Well, I've had some people who will actually see their spirit portrait, their actual portrait, and just start to cry instantly, almost like their soul recognizes
Oh.
their radiance right away. And then I've had the same thing happen with pieces that I've just painted on my own in the studio that I'll show somebody and they'll go, "Oh my gosh, that looks like me." And it's almost like they just recognize themselves somehow. But I do think that we're drawn to particular colors because that color offers us something. So if you're drawn to purple, it could mean because you're looking for connection to a higher power or God, and you're looking for that direct conversation. And so you may change the colors in your home or your office and have no idea what's happening, but you're looking for whatever it is that that energy offers you. And then you're using it for healing, even if you're not aware of it.
Oh my gosh. I just changed my walls to like this lavendery, very sweet purple. It's the first, like we've lived here coming on 5 years now, and the
Uh-huh.
walls are still the same color that when we moved in because they had just painted, it was move-in ready. And I just said, I need purple. I need some purple, some lavender, some very soft pastelly. So anyway, you probably can't, I don't know if you could see it but that's what I surrounded
Yeah.
myself with.
I love that. I was wondering about that too, because I was like, what a great color for the work that you do, because it's a super gentle, healing color. It's very relaxing. It offers you like this sense of femininity. It offers you this place of peace and calm and relaxation. And so, you're working with people for healing, and your walls are reflecting that right back to
Oh,
you. So, yeah,
I
good
love that,
job. Good
Heather.
color
Oh
choice.
my gosh. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. You made my day. That's so awesome.
I love it.
Oh my gosh. So now if do you work with people through Zoom? Like if somebody wanted to meet with you, you could do a painting and then is it then like they can purchase it or it just becomes theirs as part of working with you?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll do a spirit portrait session with somebody where they'll send me a picture, and then I'll sit with their photograph and meditate on it. I'll do a scan of their chakras and write down any messages or symbols that are sitting there, and then start their portrait for them. And I'll write out all the notes, and then we'll hop on a session like this, and I'll show them their painting and tell them everything that came through and answer questions, and generally just kind of guide you through how to use that color for whatever's happening in your world, and help them to be intentional about the colors that they're making in their lives.
Yeah, that's amazing. And again, I'm so mesmerized by it all. And now I'm mesmerized. I keep turning this back to me and I'm sorry, but
No, you're
I
good.
I, I had another guest that came on and she does calligraphy art and so she does words, right? And
Mm.
so she did mine on air, like we did it on air and it was purples and blues again. Like I'm like, what? I'm just now realized that. I'm like, what is happening?
Well, it's so funny you say that because I've been looking at your aura as we're talking, and you've got blue around the side of your head too, which is about trust and authenticity and using your voice to speak with courage and with truth. So it's so
Oh,
funny. I can see that around you too.
oh my God. That's so, that made my day because working through childhood trauma, like working through all that I had happen to me in my younger years, um, my voice was my biggest thing. And so
Mm.
doing this podcast, I was told by someone, well, a therapist that I was working with, um, you're giving voice to others. And so I've said, oh, yeah, I am. And so I've started writing again. And so I've just published a book, I co-authored, and then just got invited to co-author two other books. And so
Oh my
I'm like,
gosh.
oh, it is using my voice, not necessarily so much, like physical voice, but
Hmm.
using a voice. And so that's beautiful. Thank you for that.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that you're doing that too, because I think that's why we have experiences. And when we heal from them, we're able to reach our arm back and pull somebody else up along with us to say, like, you're okay, come with me. You
Yeah.
can get through this too. So
Yeah.
that's beautiful.
Oh, I love that. And I love that visual. I saw a funny, I think it was a funny meme. It may have been a commercial. I don't know, but it was a mom just pumping on, like pumping super big weights, right? She's pumping and they were like, why are you only working that arm? And why are you getting, and it was her arm reaching back, handing snacks and grabbing, water
Right.
bottles and
Yep. Yep. We're constantly reaching our arms back. Come on, stay with
right,
me.
right.
Yeah.
But it is true with helping, others. And again, like your work is so beautiful because I don't know, and maybe you'll want to share it if you have a story to tell, but those of us who've gone through darkness or worked through a journey or a dark night of the soul, how many of us then reach our hands back into that darkness, right? To help those who are hurting
Mhm.
and struggling.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's so important. I feel like we all go through that. We all go through pain. And there's, no question about that. There's no one who's exempt from that. And when I talk to people who are sitting in a place of pain, I think most of the time we try to use it in service of other people, because if we have learned something, then we can, and offer that to someone else, and help them along with it too. So a lot of times when I have a conversation with somebody and I show them something that came through in their portrait, it's almost always that they were sort of teetering on the edge of being able to say something, do something, move something in their lives that they were just looking for permission to do, if that makes sense. So, like, I did a portrait for somebody who, as I was doing hers, I felt like there was an illness in her past that she hadn't talked about, or there was something, some kind of illness there. And when I spoke to her, she said she had dealt with cancer. She hadn't openly talked about it. She wanted to talk about it. She was thinking about it, and that the portrait gave her the courage to say, I'm just going to do it because if I share it, it might help somebody else. And so it wasn't that I gave her anything she didn't already know. It was just sort of like holding up a mirror and saying, "Hey, look at how wonderful you are. Look at how you can use this for good. Here's your permission slip and your color prescription to do that." And so she's done that, and she's done some really amazing things. And I think it just sort of helped her open up. But she wanted to open up anyway. It was just like a little bit of a permission slip there, if that makes sense.
That is so amazing. Again, oh my God. Like, I don't know if you've ever seen the Harry Potter movies, but I think of like, there's a
Yeah.
scene where Harry Potter's standing in front of the mirror and you see, he saw his parents who had passed and seeing what he wanted to see. And so, yeah, I love that idea or what he needed to see. And, of it being a mirror. What a
Yeah.
gift. Yeah.
Yeah. I think sometimes we just need to be reminded that we're here as humans having a human experience, but we're really souls. We're really spirits. And the spirit isn't afraid of anything. The spirit's here for the the joy of living this crazy life. But we get bogged down in the human form sometimes. And I think when you see this vibrant, sparkly painting of your spirit, you're like, holy crap, I'm beautiful. Look at me. And it's like a little reminder that I was here. I'm made to do something awesome. Let me just do it. Who cares? I want to be, out there and free and sparkly and radiant, and let me just go do that. And so I
Yeah.
hope that my work reminds people of that when they see it.
Oh, I'm sure. Like again, they're probably like, I want to be that. But wait a minute, I am that.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then have it, live in a space that you see it every day and you look at it and you're like, that's me. That's my radiant spirit. That's awesome.
Oh my gosh, I love it so much. Now I know again, I'm not an artist, so I don't know when you say abstract artist,
Mhm.
it's not necessarily when you say you're painting spirit, it's not like a portrait of someone where it looks like a human form, right?
Right. It's abstract. Yep. It's usually very highly pigmented inks and golds on, it's called Yupo paper. It's like this kind of plasticky paper. And so I'll meditate over it, start to put the ink on the paper, and then whatever is coming through from beginning of the process to the end, I consider part of the message. So whether the ink spurts out or whether it comes out in little drops, that's all telling me something. And so I keep track of all of that so that when I sit in a Zoom with you, I can tell you, here's what came through. And does this make sense for you? Here's what I was getting. Does that resonate? Because I think that the whole process is me sort of being guided through painting your portrait and then reading your portrait to say, oh, here are the symbols that are showing up, or here are the extra colors. All the time there are extra colors that get added that I didn't add that kind of magically appear. And I'm like, well, I didn't put any pink in there, but there's pink. So how did that happen? Like it's kind of mystical and wonderful and weird and amazing.
Yeah. Now you say symbols.
Mhm.
What does that mean? What is it that you're seeing?
Yeah, so I'll see vertical, horizontal lines. I'll see circles. I'll see shapes of animals or people. I've seen water. I've seen ocean animals, like all kinds of different shapes and forms will kind of come up. Even some that have been interesting where I'll see the shape of a person and say, like, this looks like a man who's standing beside you. Like, I don't know if this person is a guide or somebody who's passed away. And then they'll say, oh, my dad passed away, and that looks like my dad or something. So there are all these sort of things that happen in the painting that I have no ownership of, but just allow to happen and that become part of that person's story.
Yeah. Yeah, it really is a story. I mean,
Hmm.
yeah, because our
Yeah.
spirits are a story, right?
Hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. That's amazing. Okay. And now, I know you said that it's almost, I don't want to say, maybe it is like a channeling or just
Mhm.
a flow that comes through to you through your meditations. Is it spiritual? I mean, do you think it's like I know I listen, like I have angel whispers is what I
Uh-huh.
call them, where they're
Yep.
like, Terry, you need to be, Terry, pay attention. Terry, like, right?
Uh-huh.
I mean, is that kind of what it is? Like
Yeah.
angel whispers?
Yeah, that's exactly right. I think I feel like there's always somebody right beside me when I'm working. And sometimes it feels like I'm getting tapped on the ear, like you get tapped on the shoulder. I'll feel like I'm like, what the heck was that? And I'll just kind of stop for a second and go, oh, you want me to use this color? Okay, let's use that color then. So, yeah, absolutely. There's some sort of connection to the divine that's happening where I feel like I'm being guided throughout the whole thing.
Yeah. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, I love it. And I get it. I find hearts everywhere.
Oh, I
It
love
started,
that.
oh, thank you. It started after my dad had passed and I was sitting outside on Mother's Day. My mom was still around and I was just enjoying meditating and I looked up and like it was a blue sky day and a perfect white heart just floated across the sky and I was like, hi, Dad. Like, thanks.
Oh,
Well, then I just started finding him in crazy places. And I know what you're saying because I was hiking with a friend and we were trudging up a hill, going along, green leaves everywhere. We're in the woods, right? And so there's just thousands upon thousands of leaves. And it was as if someone like was like, again,
yeah.
touched my ear and and they were excited and it wasn't necessarily a voice, but it was just an energy that was like, oh my gosh, look, 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 look. And I turned my head to the left, and on a little leaf right next to me, an insect had eaten a tiny heart.
Oh my
And so I was
gosh.
like, oh, look, a heart. And my friend, Chris, that was with me, who I adore, was like, how did how did you find that? like we're trudging up this hill and you stop and you look and then there's a little heart. And so, but I
Yeah.
would have it happen all the time where it was almost like I felt this excited energy, like, look, 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 look.
I love that. That happened to me one time. I was standing in my front yard and all of a sudden it was like a tractor beam. I just like went over this direction and looked down and found a four-leaf clover.
Oh,
Just like it, and honest, I was not looking for one. I had just gotten home from running errands, but it literally felt like go over there. And I was like, okay. I think that's awesome. I feel like when we're really tuned in, we pay attention to how we're being guided each day to find those things that remind us that we're not alone and that we're always being supported and provided for. That's really wonderful.
yes. Oh, well, thank you for sharing that. I mean, you get it. So you get
Totally get it. Yep.
it. Awesome, awesome. Well, I certainly want to give you an opportunity as we start to close things up here to maybe touch upon anything that you wanted to talk about and we haven't had an opportunity or give folks any closing thoughts.
I think that if you start to pay attention to color in your life, like you noticed you picked up on this purple color and that's really spoke to you, if you just for a couple of days go into your closet and look at what clothes you're pulling out, what colors are you attracted to, and then look up what the color means. I think you'll learn very quickly that that color's communicating to you and trying to offer you a message somehow. And then you can learn to become very intentional with what you wear and how you use color in your life. It's really remarkable, I think, when you start to employ color in your home for healing or in your office for productivity or whatever it is. It offers you some really awesome benefits.
Oh my gosh, I'm so like I can't wait to go dive in and go see because I've always been right purples, blues, and then
Hmm.
grays and tans. Like that's kind of been my go-to. My mom told me I dressed like Margaret Thatcher was one of her things. Like she'd be like, "You dress like you're British Parliament or something," and I'm like, "Mom, stop." She's like, "Add some pop of color to your life." So lately, I I've been drawn to, weirdly, I have these really bright new, and I love them, orange gym shoes, Brooks gym
Oh,
shoes. And
yeah.
so I went and bought like a quarter zip like I'm wearing now in the same color, kind of orangey,
Yeah.
salmony kind of color, but they match the gym shoes. And so I'm so drawn to it. So now I'm really curious. I'm like gonna find out what orange means because that's what I'm
Oh,
drawn to.
yeah, you're tapping into your creativity, your emotions. You're like working on developing strong relationships, sensuality. You're like stepping into a creative time in your life.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
so true. It's so
yeah.
true. I'm starting to write. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and literally when you
Heather.
put them on your feet, you're walking in to that space and you put that orange on your heart, so you're welcoming that creative energy in. Yeah. You're doing the
Oh,
right thing.
you are awesome. Oh, I've loved this conversation. It's been so amazing.
Thank you. So are you. I'm so happy we got to connect.
I know, I know. Again, I was in a bathtub again. I don't even understand where my brain went, but we were supposed to meet just a little bit earlier, and I had a snafu. So Heather was so gracious and wonderful, and yeah, beautiful soul doing beautiful work. So, how do folks connect with you and or work with you?
Yeah, thank you. There are a couple of freebies on my website. If you visit heathereck.com/thank you, I've got a special discount for your listeners on spirit portraits too.
Ooh, yeah,
Yeah.
awesome. Awesome. I love it. I love it. Well, this has just been such a joy. Again, thanks for letting me yammer on about myself.
No,
And
I loved it. Thank you.
yeah, it's just been wonderful. And again, thank you for your beautiful work and for helping others along their journeys.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right. Well, everyone, thanks for joining us today on the Healing Place podcast. And remember, until next time, be gentle with yourself. Thanks. Bye-bye. Hey, everybody. Teri Wellbrock here. Just wanted to thank you again for being a part of this healing space and my hashtag hope for healing journey. Thank you for sharing, liking, inviting others to join, listening in. You've really helped this show blossom. It has now been downloaded in 136 countries and is in the top 2% globally out of 3.2 million shows, which is just amazing. And it's all because of you and your tuning in and inviting others and sharing and liking and loving. And your reviews on Apple really help too. My goal is to hit 100 5-star reviews by the end of the year. And I am closing in on that. So if you are listening in on Apple or Apple Podcasts, please go and rate the show and leave a review if you absolutely love it. And I would be most appreciative. Also, if you would like to receive my monthly Hope for Healing newsletter, please be sure to go to teriwellbrock.com. It's Teri, just one R, WELLBROCK.com. And I have a gift to send you for signing up for that monthly Hope for Healing newsletter. Plus, there are many other resources listed on that page, including a resource library. All right. Thanks. Bye-bye.